would you let a surgeon operate on you if their only qualification was a certificate they bought online last weekend?
I mean, definitely not.
Right. Or how about boarding an airplane if you knew the pilot's greatest professional achievement was scraping by flight training with the absolute lowest acceptable score? You just wouldn't do it. We demand rigorous vetting when our lives are on the line, but right now, thousands of people are trusting their lives and the safety of their families to firearms instructors with that exact same flimsy level of vetting.
Yeah, it's wild. We are looking at a civilian firearms training industry that is, frankly, dangerously murky.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission here is to help you separate life-saving competence from clever marketing.
Exactly. And the source material we're using today to unpack this is really hard-hitting. It's an unfiltered analysis from Valortec, which is a Florida-based firearms training academy. The article was written by Herfel, an instructor with a 30-year career in law enforcement and firearms education.
30 years, wow.
Yeah, a lot of experience. And the focus of his article is what he terms the weekend firearms instructor epidemic.
The weekend firearms instructor epidemic.
Yeah.
Okay, to set the stage properly for you guys listening, we need to clarify that there are highly dedicated, legitimately vetted civilian instructors out there.
Yeah.
Like the people who are disciplined and committed to the craft of teaching.
Right. This isn't an attack on the whole industry.
No, not at all. But this analysis is entirely focused on the pseudo-wannabe instructors, the people manufacturing an illusion of expertise almost overnight, and the barrier to entry in this space is it's almost non-existent.
The text actually outlines a very specific recurring character to illustrate how fast this happens. Picture a person who, just yesterday, was merely a recreational hobbyist.
Okay.
They enjoy going to the range, maybe they shoot a few boxes of ammo on the weekends, then they sign up for a weekend certification course. And we're talking about courses with shockingly low passing standards.
Right.
They survive those 2 days, they get a printed piece of paper, they put on a red instructor shirt, and they slap a menacing skull logo on their social media.
Just immediately.
By Monday morning, they are marketing themselves to the public, selling what they might call like a combat pistol masterclass.
That is, it sounds identical to a fitness influencer who secretly uses steroids to get a shredded physique and then turns around and sells a $200 PDF workout plan to absolute beginners.
That's a perfect analogy, actually.
Right, because the visual aesthetic, the red shirt, the tactical logo, the muscles in the fitness example, it tricks the public into believing they possess this deep pedagogical understanding of the subject.
Yep. The general public just doesn't know what questions to ask, so they get dazzled by buzzwords. These pseudo-instructors market themselves as certified, professional, tactical, advanced, you name it.
So how does the public get so easily tricked into thinking these people are thoroughly evaluated authorities? What is the linguistic trap there?
The trap is absolutely the word certified. The author highlights a critical distinction that the average citizen simply isn't aware of. It's the blurring of a certificate versus a professional license.
Oh, okay. Let's break that down.
So a certificate, especially in this specific context, generally just proves you met a private organization's standard. And that standard could be absolute rock bottom. It basically signifies attendance.
You just showed up.
Exactly. You showed up, you didn't fail the painfully easy evaluation, and you received a document.
Whereas a professional license, like what a doctor, a plumber, or even, a cosmetologist holds, that involves actual state oversight.
Right.
It involves legal qualifications, fingerprinting, background checks, regulatory standards, continuing education, and more importantly, a license comes with the threat of disciplinary consequences.
That's the key right there.
Right. If you violate the standards of a state license, a governing board can investigate you, suspend you, or just permanently strip you of your ability to practice.
And a weekend certificate carries none of that weight. Zero. It doesn't prove the instructor has ever worked in law enforcement or the military or emergency management.
Right.
It doesn't even prove they can shoot at an advanced level, let alone know how to teach a beginner. Yet the public sees the word instructor and inherently assumes some state-level, rigorous gauntlet has been passed.
And that brings up a really terrifying reality. If the barrier to entry is just sitting through a 2-day class, the person charging you hundreds of dollars to teach you life or death skills could literally be the person who performed the worst in that weekend class.
Oh, absolutely. The instructor who barely passed with a minimum acceptable score now stands in front of a class, expecting students to treat their opinions as unquestionable doctrine.
That is so scary.
And because the public doesn't know any better, they choose these classes based on convenience, price, location, how entertaining the guy's Instagram feed is, or just how fast they can get their own concealed carry certificate.
But the danger isn't just wasting your money on a bad class, right? The author argues this causes active harm.
Yes, active harm. Because a weak instructor builds dangerous habits into your physical performance. They teach techniques they fundamentally do not understand themselves, and they pass along what the author calls range folklore as if it were scientifically proven fact.
Wait, range folklore?
Yeah, range folklore is a massive problem in this space. We are talking about outdated, sometimes 50-year-old myths that keep getting repeated because nobody bothers to test them under stress.
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure, like the old myth of just rack a shotgun in the dark and the sound will scare an intruder away.
Oh, right. I've heard that one in movies forever.
Exactly. Or they'll teach a Weaver stance from the 1970s while completely misunderstanding the biomechanics of why that stance was originally developed. They ignore how modern body armor and physiology have rendered it mostly obsolete for most applications today.
They just teach it because someone taught it to them.
Precisely. No critical thought involved.
Let me push back on this, though. Let's say I am a total novice. I've never held a firearm. I'm genuinely terrified of the mechanical object, and I'm attending a class for the very first time.
Okay, setting the scene.
I actually think I might want the arrogant, super confident guy. I want the instructor who speaks in absolutes and says, do exactly this, do not ask questions, and you will be safe. Doesn't that absolute confidence make a nervous beginner feel much more secure in what they're learning?
I get why you'd think that, but that is the trap of false confidence, and the author tackles this head on. Pseudo-instructors rely heavily on this persona. They speak in absolutes because they completely lack the depth to handle nuance.
So the confidence is a shield.
Exactly. They criticize other methodologies, they present their own personal preferences as universal laws of physics, and they build cults around specific techniques rather than teaching a student how to actually think through a problem. The source explicitly states that false confidence with a firearm is often more dangerous than openly admitting ignorance.
Because false confidence overrides critical thinking. Like if an instructor just admits, hey, I don't know the answer to that, everyone stays safe.
Right.
But if they confidently give you the wrong legal or tactical advice, you could end up in prison, or worse.
True professionals possess profound humanity. A real professional can explain the mechanical why behind a technique. They can tell you exactly under what conditions a specific grip works, where that grip will mechanically fail, and how it needs to be adapted for a student who has smaller hands or maybe less upper body strength.
That makes total sense.
Confidence is easy to fake with a loud voice. Competence requires deep, adaptable understanding.
So if they don't have that deep understanding, how do they maintain the illusion?
This brings us to a phenomenon the text refers to as grocery store tactical.
Oh, I love this section.
Yeah, how does a bad instructor hide their lack of verifiable experience? By turning the whole thing into a theatrical performance.
The text paints such a vivid picture of this archetype. This is the instructor with zero verified professional armed capacity. Right. No law enforcement career, no military deployment, no high-risk security work.
Nothing. Yet they adopt a persona that suggests they personally oversee special operations. They wear tactical clothing to buy milk at the grocery store. They adopt this heavy, aggressive military vocabulary to describe totally mundane things.
Yeah, the author says they'll take a standard, basic paper drill, like shooting 2 rounds to the body and 1 to the head at 3 yards, and they'll call it a dynamic combat evolution.
Right, dynamic combat evolution. It's just dressing up basic geometry to sound elite.
And when a student inevitably asks, where did you learn this combat evolution? The instructor can't point to a resume. They have to rely on secondhand war stories.
The famous buddy stories.
Yeah. My buddy, who is a Navy SEAL, said this is the best way. Or they vaguely reference some unnamed SWAT officer who supposedly validated their entire curriculum.
Because there is no actual professional record to examine. The entire foundation is just built on unverified storytelling.
But consider this. What if someone did survive a violent encounter? Let's say an instructor was in a real-world gunfight as a civilian, and they survived. Doesn't surviving extreme violence inherently qualify them to teach others how to survive?
That's a really common assumption, but the author expertly dismantles it. Surviving violence does not equal teaching ability.
Interesting. Why not?
The text points out that a person can survive a violent encounter while making a cascading series of terrible, reckless decisions. You might have survived through sheer dumb luck, or maybe because the attacker's weapon malfunctioned. Surviving doesn't mean your tactics were sound.
Well, wow. So you could have done literally everything wrong, won the lottery of survival, and now you're out there teaching other people your terrible tactics.
Exactly. Now, experience absolutely matters, but the text emphasizes that real experience only becomes valuable when it is combined with technical proficiency, a thorough understanding of the law, disciplined analysis, emotional control, and the pedagogical ability to communicate those lessons responsibly to another human being.
That's a big list of requirements.
It is. And the key word the author stresses is verifiable. Real experience isn't a campfire story. It leaves a paper trail.
So we're talking employment records, agency service, published training logs.
Yes, we have to stop accepting, trust me, I've been in the streets as a valid credential.
Right. But if we can't trust the stories or the tactical vocabulary or the weekend certificate, what metric is actually left? What can we trust?
Objective, measurable performance. The target does not lie. The target has no ego to protect.
Okay.
The author draws a sharp contrast between social media marketing illusions and actual cold performance on the firing line.
Let's break down how that social media illusion works mechanically, because we have all seen these videos online. The dramatic music, the sponsored tactical gear, the fast cuts.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
One of the specific tricks mentioned in the article is shooting steel targets at close distances. How does that work?
That is such a brilliant visual deception. So when you shoot a steel silhouette target at close range on camera, a few things happen. First, a wide-angle lens makes a target that's maybe 5 yards away look like it's 15 yards away.
Nicky.
Very. Second, if you pull your shot and hit the absolute outer edge of the steel target's shoulder, the steel still rings loudly.
So the camera doesn't show that your grouping is a chaotic mess.
Exactly. It just registers the sound of success. Ping, ping, ping. And any actual misses conveniently disappear into the dirt background in a fraction of a second. It looks incredible on a 10-second edited clip.
But an edited video doesn't prove competence. When an instructor steps onto the range, they have to be able to demonstrate the skills they are teaching. The article uses a fantastic standard here, it says. Cold, on demand, without excuses.
Yes. No needing 5 warm-up practice runs before the official attempt. No moving the target closer. If an instructor is lecturing you about speed, they must physically demonstrate that speed without losing accuracy on demand.
And when the illusion shatters and they cannot perform, the excuses just flood in.
It's actually kind of funny. The text lists the lengths pseudo-instructors will go to protect their ego. They blame the weather, a bad batch of ammunition, a glitch in the shot timer, the lighting, or even, I kid you not, planetary alignment.
Planetary alignment. That's amazing.
Right. But a true professional just accepts the miss, diagnoses their own mechanical failure, and corrects it.
That word diagnose, that really seems to be the core of the issue. A fake instructor's lack of underlying skill is most obvious when a student is struggling. Like when a student's shots are pulling to the left, a pseudo-instructor just describes the symptom. They yell, "You're pulling left. Focus, get a better grip, slow down."
Telling a struggling student to slow down is entirely unhelpful. They don't know what to slow down.
It reminds me of dealing with a bad automotive mechanic. Imagine your car engine is making this terrible rattling noise.
Okay.
You take it in, and a bad mechanic listens to it, nods, and says, "Yep, your engine is rattling. You should make it stop rattling."
Right, thanks for nothing.
Exactly. They are just repeating the symptom back to you. But a master mechanic hears that exact same rattle and knows, based on years of studying engine schematics, that it is specifically the exhaust valve on the third cylinder failing to close properly. They diagnose the invisible mechanism causing the audible symptom.
That is a great analogy, and it maps perfectly to Valortec's philosophy on shooter diagnostics. A true professional watches a student shoot and doesn't look at the paper target first.
Oh, really? Where do they look?
They look at the hands. They look at the eyes. They diagnose the underlying cause of the failure. Just like your mechanic hearing the exhaust valve, a real firearms instructor watches your muzzle dip a fraction of an inch right before the shot breaks. They know immediately it's not an issue with your eyesight. It's a sympathetic squeeze in your lower 3 fingers anticipating the recoil.
That requires an intense understanding of how the human body works. You have to understand sympathetic muscle movement. Like, if you squeeze your pinky finger hard, the tendons in your index finger naturally want to move too. A real instructor understands trigger isolation, which is the mechanical ability to move your index finger straight back without disturbing the grip pressure of your other fingers.
Exactly. The author points out that an instructor needs an advanced understanding of anatomy, vision, biomechanics, motor learning, and human performance under extreme stress.
Under stress, yeah, that changes everything.
Completely. Take vision, for example. Under a life-or-death adrenaline dump, the human eye undergoes a focal shift. Tunnel vision occurs, depth perception alters, and the ability to focus on a near object, like a front sight, changes dramatically. You cannot learn to mitigate physiological responses like that on a Saturday afternoon.
Learning a bad draw stroke from a weekend instructor is like writing bad code into a piece of software. You are cementing a mechanical flaw into your muscle memory. And when you are under stress, your brain has to read that bad code, realize it's failing, debug it, and try to rewrite it in milliseconds. And by then, it's just too late. This is why paper targets and shot timers record accountability. They remove the instructor's ego and document exactly what the software is doing.
Which brings us to the most sobering part of this deep dive, the real-world consequences. We are not just punching holes in paper for recreation here.
Right.
The text is incredibly stark about this. Firearms training creates immense legal and moral responsibility. If you ever have to use a weapon to defend yourself, the aftermath is entirely unforgiving.
A weak safety culture in a class can lead to an unintended discharge, injuring a student. And giving misleading legal instruction can lead a student to make a catastrophic, life-ruining decision during a confrontation just because they believe the guy in the red shirt knew the law.
And following a shooting incident, the investigation does not stop at the trigger. The authorities, the district attorney, the civil lawyers, they will look backward at the entire chain of events that led up to that moment.
Oh, for sure.
They will ask who trained you.
The investigators will pull your instructor's credentials. They will scrutinize the specific curriculum used. They're going to demand to see documented safety standards. They will want to know if the student was formally evaluated and if the instructor documented any performance problems.
The weekend instructor might believe that their printed certificate and their LLC shield them from liability, but when attorneys and licensing agencies start digging, a skull logo on Instagram carries zero legal weight.
Not at all.
Training records, qualification scores, and the instructor's own verifiable background all become evidence in a courtroom.
Taking that further, if I am listening to this deep dive right now and I realize I need to book a class for my job or just to protect my family, how do I actually investigate an instructor before I hand over my money?
Great question. The source provides a comprehensive vetting checklist. First and foremost, you have to stop shopping for the fastest, cheapest option.
Stop looking for shortcuts.
Right. Stop asking, how quickly can I finish, or do I even have to shoot a gun to pass? Those questions just reveal a mindset that wants a piece of paper. Instead, the very first question must be, is this instructor professionally licensed by the state where applicable? And you must verify it directly with the regulatory authority.
So, check the state registry.
Yes. Second, you demand verified professional experience. No vague claims about special operations. Where did they work, what dates, and what was their exact role?
Third, I'd assume, is asking to see their performance standards.
Yeah.
And their own recent qualification scores.
Exactly. A real professional is never afraid to demonstrate their skills on demand. Fourth, evaluate how they handle legal questions. Do they understand jurisdictional differences without crossing the line into giving absolute legal advice?
That's a huge red flag if they do.
Massive. A professional explains the framework, but always directs students to consult qualified attorneys. If an instructor pretends to be a lawyer, walk away immediately.
Fifth, ask if the training business is insured and if they professionally document everything. Are they keeping safety procedures, student records, and performance metrics on file?
Crucial stuff. And lastly, and this might honestly be the most telling point, ask if the instructor continues their own training.
Ah, right. Do they still take classes themselves?
The best instructors are eternal students. The most dangerous instructors believe their education permanently ended the day they printed their first certificate.
The civilian firearms industry, based on this breakdown from Valortec, is just flooded with weekend experts relying on loud marketing, tactical vocabulary, and unearned false confidence. But when the absolute worst moment of your life arrives, a high follower count is meaningless.
It really is.
You are purchasing education that will directly dictate your physical actions and decisions under extreme duress. The philosophy here is that a certificate must be earned through objective performance, not just attendance.
True professionals do not lower standards to protect fragile egos. They use science-based diagnostics, biomechanics, motor learning, verifiable data to reveal a student's weaknesses on the range long before those weaknesses manifest in a real-world emergency.
A piece of paper will not place a missed round back into the firearm. It won't explain your actions to a homicide detective or a civil jury. Only genuine, hard-earned competence can protect you physically and legally.
Look far beyond the marketing. Demand the performance.
I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over. The author noted something profound. False confidence with a firearm is often more dangerous than openly admitting ignorance.
It's a great quote.
If that is true for a discipline where the stakes are immediate and lethal, in what other high-stakes areas of our lives are we accepting this exact same weekend certificate level of expertise? Think about financial advisors managing your retirement fund based on a weekend seminar.
Oh, scary thought.
Right. Think about the diet and healthcare trends pushed by influencers with zero medical background. Where else are we trusting the person in the metaphorical red shirt simply because their marketing makes us feel secure? Maybe it's time we start demanding the master mechanics level of diagnosis in every critical area of our lives and finally stop settling for the illusion of expertise. Keep asking the tough questions.